From the desk of Burt Reynolds, you've tuned into The American Record, where the stories are real, the narration is dramatic, and the footage is sharper than ever, thanks to a little 21st century elbow grease. So let's crank it up and travel back to 51.
As we meet here today, American soldiers are fighting a bitter campaign in Korea. We pay tribute to their courage, devotion, and gallantry. Our men are fighting alongside their United Nations allies because they know, as we do, that the aggression in Korea is a part of the attempt of the Russian communist dictatorship to take over the world step by step. We must take the leadership in meeting the challenge to freedom and in helping to protect the rights of independent nations. This country has a practical, realistic program of action for meeting this challenge. First, appropriations for our military buildup. Second, extension and revision of the Selective Service Act. Third, military and economic aid to help build up the strength of the free world. Fourth, revision and extension of the authority to expand production and to stabilize prices, wages, and rents. Fifth, improvement of our agricultural laws to help obtain the kinds of farm products we need for the defense effort. Sixth, improvement of our labor laws to help provide stable labor management relations and to make sure that we have steady production in this emergency. Seventh, housing and training of defense workers and the full use of all our manpower resources. Eighth, means for increasing the supply of doctors, nurses, and other trained medical personnel critically needed for the defense effort. Ninth, aid to the states to meet the most urgent needs of our elementary and secondary schools. 10th, a major increase in taxes to meet the cost of the defense effort. Let us all stand together as Americans. Let us stand together with all men everywhere who believe in human liberty. Peace is precious to us. It is the way of life we strive for with all the strength and wisdom we possess. But more precious than peace are freedom and justice.
Retreating United Nations forces guard the Imjim River as the onrushing hordes of Reds mass for the capture of Seoul. Despite superior firepower and the last word in weapons, they are forced to give ground before an avalanche of manpower sweeping down below the 38th parallel. The pressure on Seoul increases as the Allies conduct an orderly withdrawal, taking with them the major portion of their arms and equipment. Faced with a force estimated up to 500,000, Seoul is put to the torch and evacuated as President Syngman Rhee's government fled to Busan on the southeast coast. And for the third time during the conflict, pathetic bands of refugees in the bitter cold flee from the Reds with the innocent pawns seeking safety they know not where. But among them are North Koreans infiltrating the UN lines, and no chances are taken with concealed weapons. Here is the backwash of a war for which world statesmen are desperately seeking a solution. What began as police action against aggression now threatens world peace as Red China unleashes the torrent of her manpower. Night on Bear Mountain, and here's the winner of the Harold Nelson Memorial Jump. He's Art Devlin of the Lake Placid Snowbirds. There was only one winner, but many who took off into the darkness in search of victory and found defeat. Hard knocks hang in the balance. The following following day finds the boys and girls of the Ski Bird set competing in another memorial tourney for the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Trophy. A memorable name in a memorable meet. Winner of the FDR ski jump is Art Tokel, brother of the famed Togar Tokel. The weather is far from ideal, as were some of the jumps themselves. Put yourself in this fella's shoes and then see if you don't agree with his reactions. We know just what you mean. The Sock Parade is on. The 25th annual Golden Gloves competition, sponsored by the News Welfare Association, gets underway. At Ridgewood Grove in Brooklyn, a couple of 160-pounders, John Kestman, wearing the sneakers, and Salvatore Chiazza, provide the fisticuffs for the fight fans. Chiazza, the dark-haired boy, took quite a beating at the start, but he's finishing strong, carrying the fight to a tiring Kestman. Yep, it's Chiazza's bout by a decision. .126 is the weight this fight. The fighters Johnny Burke and Mike De La Cruz. Burke is getting the best of the argument. The ref only postpones the inevitable, for at 36 seconds of the first round, Burke moves in and puts his opponent away for keeps. Burke is the winner by a technical knockout. Here are two more 160-pounders, Tom Mannion and Dick Walker, with the latter getting more than he's giving. The title-seeking youngsters put on quite a show in the gloves swat sessions, and for some, fame and fortune may smile. Walker is game, but he can't cope with Mannion's barrage. The ref steps in and stops the slaughter, and Tom Mannion wins his first round of the Golden Gloves. President Truman receives an award from the Society of Business Magazines in Washington. In an impromptu speech, he echoes the sentiments of every free man concerning dictators.
We're fighting for freedom, for the right to worship as we please in any church we choose to attend, the right to read what we please, and the right to speak what we please, and the right to elect public officials of our own choosing, and then to give them hell after they're elected. Dictators don't believe that. And there's no difference between dictators. If you study your history, there hasn't been any difference in any police state that ever existed in the history of the world. They're all alike. They're all for the enslavement of the individual for the benefit of the state. We believe that the state exists for the benefit of the individual, and that's what we're fighting for. There isn't any difference between Hitler and Mussolini, the Tarquins of ancient Rome, kings of Sparta, Charles I of England and Louis XIV, and Stalin. They're all just alike.
Desiring no conquest and hopeful of a ceasefire agreement with the Beiping government, United Nations forces under Lieutenant General Matthew Ridgway back up the no appeasement policy in Korea. The commanding general of the 8th Army sizes up the situation and orders the big guns into action. However, before the order to fire is given, spotter planes take off to locate enemy positions. These scenes show the teamwork between the air spotters and the ground batteries. Once the enemy is located, the information is relayed to gunners who take over. Right on the target, as usual. Looking for an all-out assault by the Reds, the UN artillery keeps right on tossing them in. Outnumbered 3-1, United Nations troops hold on doggedly and give no quarter until a peaceful plan is forthcoming. A B-36 bomber, the first of 6, returns to Fort Worth, Texas, flying non-stop from England. Completing an historic mission, their first trip to foreign soil, the huge atom bomb carriers were in the air over 30 hours. Taking off at 15-minute intervals from England, the world's biggest bombers engaged in night and day bombing exercises over the ocean on the return flight. On hand to greet the pilots and crews is General Irvine, commander of the Carswell Air Base. Well done, but how's about a shave, says the general. At Burbank, California, additional contracts for F-94 all-weather jet interceptors have boosted production at the Lockheed plant. Using radar in its nose, the speedy two-seater is already in service on both coasts, on the alert to intercept enemy bombers in darkness or bad weather. Production has been sharply accelerated since President Truman called for a 50,000 plane-a-year capacity in American plants. Big brother of the Lockheed Shooting Star, the F-94 is ready, willing, and able, a powerful guardian of our skies. Tony Galento, the former heavyweight contender, indulges in a bit of wrestling at Turner's Arena in Washington. The object of Tony's playful attention is Natey Brown, himself a one-time heavyweight hopeful. There are 2 other participants in the 4-way razzle-dazzle, Bobby Ford and Jesse James. But to return to Mr. Galento, the big question now is, which one's got the Tony? Two-ton Tony met Joe Louis, if you recall, as a boxer. We don't know which is more strenuous, boxing or wrestling, but wrestling looks more strenuous, and with another pair on hand, you've got a full house of fun and frolic. Rough on the ref. Tony is resting, but only temporarily. He's always ready for a fight. Can't stay on the outside when there's so much fun going on inside, eh, Tony? Well, it's been fun for everybody, and like all good, clean fun, it's got to end sometime. Only there's a difference of opinion between the ref and some of the boys. Well, toodaloo, fellas. Ski jumping brings out the fans for one of the big meets of the season and one of the most spectacular. Norge Hill at Fox River Grove, Illinois is the setting. The meet, the 45th International Championships, sponsored by the Norge Ski Club. Everett Carlson of Sweden is judged the winner of the Class A competition, but on the basis of complete returns, it is later given to Torbjørn Falkenger, the Norwegian champion. Yes, judges do change their minds. Spills? Yes, ma'am. Just watch. Ski jumpers seldom have a chance to take it back. Once started, they've got to go through with it, and it can be mighty rough landing. He gets the breath knocked out of him, but he'll be back jumping another day. tide of battle again reverses, the United Nations forces grind steadily forward toward Seoul. Described by field commanders as a limited offensive, the Allies near the outskirts of the much fought-over capital of southern Korea. Under cover of powerful tank support, the advance takes a fearful toll of North Koreans and Chinese Reds. Top UN commanders confer. Pacing the assault are F-80 and 86 jet planes. Maintaining constant pressure on enemy supply lines, the jets thunder down, spreading terror and havoc amongst the Reds. It has been estimated that they have accounted for almost 50,000 communist casualties. Department of Defense cameramen in a follow-up plane graphically record the impact of rockets on supply convoys. But the weapon that strikes terror into enemy hearts are the napalm bombs, which sear everything in their path. The jellied gasoline skipping along the ground turns the landscape into a holocaust. The railroad station that recently recaptured Suwon and a ghastly array of dead attests to Allied air power. Vastly outnumbered, United Nations forces ruling the skies continue to number their dead foes by the thousands. You gals aren't the only ones who anxiously await the latest fashion films from Paris. Mais non, madame. Monsieur, he also waits. But no longer. Sleeves are shorter. That's only one trend you may notice from this style show staged by the Master Tailors Federation of Paris. Spring is just around the corner, and you know how they feel about April in Paris. They sing of clothes and a young man's fancy and a fancy young man all dolled up for a date with a doll. Voila! And that's enough of male fashions. And anyway, what man would not prefer to look at pretty girls? Pretty French girls in pretty French hats by Pierre Balmain. No Yankee Doodle dandy, Monsieur Balmain still does wonders with a feather in his cap. Using lots of imagination plus any material from wood to fur to flowers, a designer is almost guaranteed getting something new and catchy. Hello, what have we here? Well, it may be a hat, but only the gal who wears it could possibly resent parting with it. Now we're on a familiar ground once again. Birds on hats we understand, and spring and pretty girls. May we? Semi-finals of the Golden Gloves. Heavyweight Sid Rubenstein in the dark trunks and Earl Cannon keep the fight fans on edge with a 3-round thriller-diller at Sunnyside Gardens in New York. Next up for the winner, the finals in the News Welfare Association bouts. Rubenstein, the baker boy from Brooklyn, gives Cannon a big weight advantage, but he also gives him plenty of punishment. Cannon just isn't the right caliber for this battle with the quicker, more aggressive Brooklynite. At the start of the third round, Cannon opens up with a barrage, but it's too little and too late. Cannon goes boom. In this year of 1951, there is a world tortured by uncertainty, the specter of conflict, and the spectacle of man's inhumanity to man. Brotherhood Week, in this year of doubt, becomes a beacon, a symbol of hope. Men of goodwill continue to march side by side, shoulder to shoulder, in causes that all men hold high. There are no barriers of faith or color when freedom is threatened. Brotherhood takes on its true meaning when our way of life is menaced. America grew and had its being in brotherhood. Men from every shore found their way here to found a new way of life. a way of life that stands as a monument to all freedom-loving men. Here, men toil together, in the fields, in the factories, and in science. Brotherhood has been the cement that has created the greatness that is America. It has remained for a nation of free men to point the way to a free world. It was here that the United Nations was born and has its being. It is here that the Parliament of Nations and the Brotherhood of Man have found their haven. Here the liberties of men throughout the world are safeguarded. Here the vigilance of world statesmen have denounced aggression and have ordered the protection of the weak. Brotherhood reaches its full flower on the field of battle, where all men face common danger. Hardship is their lot, and brotherhood makes comrades of all. Theirs is the job of protecting and maintaining the decencies of human life. It is a hard, dirty job that demands the courage of every faith and race. In the serried ranks of the dead, all men will be forever equal. Brotherhood finds its final full expression with those who selflessly have made the supreme sacrifice for the ideals for which the Brotherhood of Man has been groping through the centuries. Christian, Jew, white, and Negro, they lie together. A poignant, unforgettable symbol of brotherhood. The fightingest feud in boxing, Chicago versus New York in the Golden Gloves, rolls to a rip-roaring climax in Madison Square Garden. The News Welfare Association spectacle winds up in a tie for intercity honors, 8 bouts apiece. But there's no deadlock here as New York's heavyweight Norvell Lee wins a Socceroo victory over Toxie Hall of Chicago. This tale of two cities ended happily for New York. And so does this next scrap between Melvin Boone of the big town and Bill Tate of the Windy City. Boone in the blue trunks has a fight on his hands, and he knows it. This Tate boy is giving all he's got, which is plenty. Like another Boone, Melvin's aim is right to the point. Tate is as game as they come. Gets a big hand from the fans as he beats the count and comes back for more. Boone bangs again, and this time Tate is tagged for keeps. War can be very difficult, but it can get even more complicated if you have to sort out 9 sets of twins in the same army. These guys are not only in the same army, they're in the same anti-aircraft battery training at Fort Lewis, Washington. 8 pairs of these brothers are so identical that when you look them over, your tactics are overwhelmed by your strategy. This top kick, for instance, is slightly bewildered as he checks off the detail in duplicate with copies all up the line. Doing a double take, he sounds off as approved by Army regulations for sergeants. KP and guard duty team up to further baffle the lower echelons. After a fast switcheroo by this pair of twins, the Spuds are all eyes. The Cookie gets a load of this combination and finds himself in a stew. Anyway, he seems to have a beef. The Senatorial Committee investigating crime in New York sets the stage for a new drama on its final day. Again, Frank Costello, alleged gambling czar, is the target for grilling. Again, he refuses to divulge his wealth. On the subject of his duties as a citizen, Senator Toby has searching questions.
What have you ever done for your country as a good citizen?
Well, I don't know what you claim, what you mean by that.
Well, you're looking back over the years now to that time when you became a citizen, and we're now standing 20-odd years after that. You must have in your mind some things you've done that you can speak of to your credit as an American citizen. If so, what are they?
Paid my tax.
During the drama-packed proceedings which rocked the city administration, former Mayor O'Dwyer is recalled to face the questioning of Rudolph Halley, the committee's special counsel. During the course of his final testimony, Ambassador O'Dwyer denies ever having received campaign contributions from the Uniformed Firemen's Association of New York. The former mayor also denied that he had ever been influenced by Frank Costello in civic appointments. Shortly after Mr. O'Dwyer's appearance before the committee, a bombshell was dropped into the hearing by John P. Crane, president of the Uniformed Firemen's Association, who had this to say about a contribution and the time and place he claims to have delivered $10,000 to the mayor.
I told the mayor at that time that I had promised him the support of the firemen, and I offered him some evidence of that support on the occasion in the form of $10,000.
And was that in cash?
That was in cash.
Was it loose or in a package?
I had it in, I could never describe the envelope. I don't know the technical word, but it was this type of envelope you have right there, the brown one.
Was it just about this size of the envelope that I'm
That's
showing?
the standard envelope.
About 8 by 10. What did the mayor say?
He thanked me. That was about all.
How long were you there?
Not more than 10 minutes.
Repercussions from the New York hearings have been nationwide, with contempt and perjury citations indicated by the committee, and with this summation of public sentiment by former Ambassador Sproul Braden, now heading the Anti-Crime Committee in New York, who says,
"Of one thing we can be sure. The Costellos, Adonises, and the rest of this scum, and still more, the miserably corrupted law enforcement officers, are among the Kremlin's best friends and allies. Perhaps in a sense, they are even more dangerous than the spies convicted of stealing our atomic and military secrets. After all, by ingenuity and hard work, we can compensate for and replace these thefts. But the loss of morality in government will cause us to lose our self-respect and the respect and confidence of other peoples. From such a catastrophe, no nation has ever recovered. Our citizens are aroused, and an aroused citizenry is irresistible. They will relentlessly demand honest and competent officials who will drive the criminals into prison, out of the country, or into the electric chair. The New York City Anti-Crime Committee was formed to help in this work. You may be assured it is at your service at all times, and we hope to join with other crime commissions throughout the country to make this a great national campaign, an unremitting crusade. I thank you, sir, very much.
The Senate Crime Investigation Committee shifts its operations to Washington, where Attorney General J. Howard McGrath is among the witnesses. He urgently recommends new legislation to curb interstate gambling information. He is followed to the stand by J. Edgar Hoover, Chief of the FBI, who makes an eloquent plea for stronger law enforcement at the local level, where he says the real evil lies.
The gambling problem must be viewed as a phase of the entire crime picture. Organized gambling is a vicious evil. It corrupts our youth and blights the lives of our adults. It becomes a springboard for other crimes, embezzlement, robbery, and even murder. But like any other type of crime, it can be controlled. If the laws against gambling presently on the state and local statute books were earnestly and vigorously enforced, organized gambling could be eliminated within 48 hours in any community in this land. No criminal, the gambler and his allies included, can long stand up before a determined, intelligent, and informed public opinion. That, in my opinion, is the basic answer to the gambling problem, an aroused public opinion which will act on a local level through local law enforcement authorities to wipe out the menace.
1,500 happy Marines arrive at Oakland, California from the Korean battlefront. Back from the bloody, bitter struggle where they performed so heroically, these fighting leathernecks of the famous 1st Division get a royal welcome from relatives, sweethearts, and friends. Those debarking from the big transport include many who were wounded in the battle against the Reds. But now the pain and the strife are temporarily forgotten as they are reunited with their loved ones. But there is a different side to the picture. At San Francisco, the ship delivers the first war dead disinterred from Korean graves, the first in history ever to be returned to the United States while war still raged in the areas where they were buried. All branches of the service are represented. The solemn ceremonies are witnessed by the bereaved families whose sons and husbands made the supreme sacrifice for freedom. Part of the 5 million toys collected in the United States for European children is distributed by Earl Koch, Jr., National Commander of the American Legion. This particular share goes to unfortunate youngsters in France. It is the 2nd year that the American Legion has played godfather to the children of Europe in this manner. Among the grateful recipients of these generous gifts are the orphans, the invalids, and the blind. For these and for others throughout the continent, the gift this year totals 5 million welcome toys, dear to the hearts of our young cousins, whose future has been sadly conditioned by the ravages of past wars and the gloomy economy of the present. The day was a great success. American children will be happier to know that they have shared their bounty with those whose need is greater. The arrival in the little town of Roslyn, Washington, of Sayed Abdul Ahad, Undersecretary of Mining in far-off Afghanistan, puts Roslyn on the international map and gives everybody a chance to shine. The local miners give their distinguished visitor a warm welcome and invite him to come on down and see how we do it here in America. Ahad, nicknamed Prince Ali Khan by his new friends, takes them up with a vim and wins the praises of all with his capacity for hard work. With what he learns of American methods, he hopes to go home to Afghanistan and double coal production there in 1 year. More power to him. These waves at the Lakehurst, New Jersey Air Station pack their parachutes with extra special care, for they're going to use them. It's graduation day at the Parachute Riggers School, the day everything else is dropped, and a wave's very life depends upon the skill and finesse she acquired at school. Booted, helmeted, and thoroughly equipped for the crucial test, they wait for the big moment when they hit the silk they so carefully packed. Now, out you go, girls! Geronimo welcomes you to the fold. They all graduate with flying colors without a qualm in a plane load. And despite a stiff breeze that could have warranted postponing the event, the Navy's lady sailors make it to terra firma without a mishap. Every year is leap year for these classy lassies. On the famed Appian Way outside of Rome, a 2-in-1 racing car with an 8-cylinder engine in one nacelle is piloted by Pietro Taruffi in a bid for the world's record over a mile course. Taruffi, one of Italy's ace speed drivers, designed and built the novel racer that resembles a P-38 without wings. But wings notwithstanding, Taruffi flies to a new speed record for his class, clocking over 200 miles an hour on the mile track. The announcement of his record-shattering run is greeted with enthusiasm in Italian racing circles, and Pietro is greeted upon his return as the man of the hour. With the supreme grace that has won him top laurels all over the world, Dick Button of the United States gives an exhibition of his skating prowess in Vienna. Fresh from his victory in the World Figure Skating Championships in Italy, which he won hands down, Dick continues his triumphant tour. Here he goes into a fast spin. While his youthful admirers look on, the camera presents a slow-motion example of Button's record-breaking skill on ice. In the realm of figure skating, there is no present contender who can top Dick Button's perfection. The storm which has been brewing between Washington and General MacArthur finally breaks with the news that the Supreme Commander has been dismissed by President Truman. Members of the press leave the conference in Washington to release the world-shaking story which will affect international policy in every capital. The center of the controversy, General Douglas MacArthur, is shown at his Tokyo headquarters. Here he administered the occupation of defeated Japan and directed the defense of Korea. At the request of the United Nations, President Truman appointed him to lead the Allied powers in the fight against communism in the Far East. In Japan and at the front, he served the nation and the United Nations with unfailing vigor. His record in previous campaigns brought him an enviable reputation as a fearless warrior. His many visits to the Korean front lines kept him constantly informed of the situation and the movements of the communist armies arrayed against his command. President Truman flew to meet with MacArthur last year, and on that occasion they discussed overall policy and apparently agreed on future conduct of the fight against red aggression. But in the final analysis, the disagreements between immediate strategy and international diplomacy resulted in General MacArthur's dismissal. General Ridgway now takes over from MacArthur as Supreme Commander, Allied Powers, Commander-in-Chief, United Nations Command, Commander-in-Chief, Far East, and Commanding General, United States Army, Far East. In Washington, congressmen voiced their individual opinions of the president's order. Republicans and Democrats alike are forthright in their public comment. Representative Morgan, Democrat of Pennsylvania.
The first qualification of a soldier is to be able to carry out commands. General MacArthur seems to be above that qualification. He has defied both the chiefs of staff and a trust placed in him by the United Nations. I commend the action of the president.
Senator Ferguson, Republican from Michigan.
I believe that the president's action today in the removal of General MacArthur was a tragic mistake. I'm of the opinion it was caused by the president's failure to recognize the overall communist aggression, that it is global and international. It is, in my opinion, an appeasement of the British philosophy that was brought here in December by Mr. Attlee. I also feel that it is against the best interests of America.
Senator Lister Hill, Democrat from Alabama.
The president's action shows that he is resolved to stay out of a terrible, all-out war in China. And I agree with him. The matter is so vital to the peace and security of our country and to the lives of millions of America's young men, I hope it may be considered on its merits and not on any basis of politics or personalities.
At the White House, the administration, represented by the president, is seriously concerned. Mr. Truman speaks to the nation, outlining the reasons for his action regarding world policy.
I believe that we must try to limit the war to Korea for these vital reasons: to make sure that the precious lives of our fighting men are not wasted, to see that the security of our country and the free world is not needlessly jeopardized, and to prevent a third world war. A number of events have made it evident that General MacArthur did not agree with that policy. I have therefore considered it essential to relieve General MacArthur so that there would be no doubt or confusion as to the real purpose and aim of our policy. It was with the deepest personal regret that I found myself compelled to take this action. General MacArthur is one of our greatest military commanders, but the cause of world peace is much more important than any individual. The change in commands in the Far East means no change whatever in the policy of the United States. We will carry on the fight in Korea with vigor and determination in an effort to bring the war to a speedy and successful conclusion. The free nations have united their strength in an effort to prevent a third world war. That war can come if the communist rulers want it to come. But this nation and its allies will not be responsible for its coming. We do not want to widen the conflict. We will use every effort to prevent that disaster. And in so doing, we know that we are following the great principles of peace, freedom, and justice.
The annual Whitewater Boat Parade down the Mackenzie River gets underway with 100 skilled entrants braving the turbulent stream. Fathered by the Guides Association, this is the 15th running of the rapids. It's a daring exhibition of piloting along a course where foaming waters boil over hidden rocks and danger lurks for the unwary. This crew has a leg up on their competitors. 3 men in a boat and the going is rugged. They have their ups and downs. They even do it in a rubberneck wagon in this sportsman's paradise. Way down south, deep in the heart of the Everglades, it's contact. Airboats ready for a sawgrass race. And they're off. This is just to see who's fastest with the mostest. But ordinarily, these plane propeller-driven boats conduct the bass fishermen to the happy hunting grounds, anywhere in the 300 square miles of mysterious Seminole land. Here they go, driving through the grass and water at speeds which reach 60 miles per hour. Turnabout is fair play. Much of the time it appears that these 12-foot aluminum craft are riding the grass. Actually, they will go faster over the wet grass than through deep water. The race is nip and tuck all the way. And now they're steaming for the finish line. A strange race through a virgin wilderness. Washington sees a mighty display of the nation's Army, Navy, Air Forces, and Marines on the second observation of Armed Forces Day. Reviewing the parade is President Truman, Secretary of Defense Marshall, and other officials. This was part of an observance both across the nation and abroad of the defenders of freedom. Among the attaches of foreign powers viewing the spectacle were those of the Russian embassy. Honoring our heroes, President Truman presents Master Sergeant Kouma with a Medal of Honor. Also awarded the nation's highest military medal is Sergeant John Pittman. The third medal was received by First Lieutenant Carl H. Dodd. These honors were bestowed upon the fighting veterans of the Korean Front for outstanding heroism in action. While Armed Forces Day is being celebrated, further action is being taken to halt aggression. Troops of the 4th Division prepared to sail for Europe to serve with General Eisenhower's North Atlantic Treaty Organization. These are the first to set out to augment the General's forces ready to defend Western Europe. Major General Harkness commands the division. only a few civilians see the Ivy Division take off for their new assignment. Another tribute is paid our armed forces at Washington. During a dinner in the nation's capital, President Truman appealed for unity during the present crisis. His remarks to the guests were broadcast directly to our troops on the fighting front in Korea, to whom he pays high tribute.
I want to impress upon you on this second anniversary of Armed Forces Day that we are in the midst of one of the greatest crises this country has ever faced. You fighting men and you fighting allies in Korea and Japan are holding the line while we endeavor at this end to attain a peaceful settlement of the situation in the world. Bear in mind that there are men fighting and dying in an endeavor to reach that peace for which we've been striving since World War ceased. Remember that these men are baring their breasts for liberty and unity in the world.
The worst wreck in 8 years in the Philadelphia area turns 2 trains into a shambles on the outskirts of Bryn Mawr, when a cracked Pennsylvania flyer to Detroit plowed into the rear of a Philadelphia to Pittsburgh express. 8 people were killed and 63 passengers were injured, some seriously. Failure of the automatic signal system was blamed, as the flyer's locomotive ripped into the rear Pullman of the Pittsburgh train, shearing the car almost in 2. The first train had halted for equipment inspection. The gigantic job of creating order out of chaos begins. A crowd of 50,000 overflows New York Central Park Mall, and another 50,000 hear Mayor Impellitteri over loudspeakers on adjacent streets as he addresses them on I Am an American Day. A drizzling rain fails to dampen the patriotic enthusiasm of those who come to reaffirm their faith as Federal Judge Gavigan administers the oath of allegiance. Americans all, they remember the land which means freedom for all races, creeds, and colors. In a world torn between forces of freedom and slavery, I Am an American takes on new meaning. 2 persons are dead and hundreds injured in the wake of a tornado that cut a wide path of destruction through Olney, Texas. But for a warning alarm sounded as the twister bore down on the town, the toll would have been much higher. The force of the wind is plainly evident in these films taken shortly after the tornado struck. Scenes reminiscent of war unfold in the little community, hard hit by the freak twister that left weird scars on every hand. Thankful for their storm cellars and for the fact that the storm struck while its children were still safe in school and not on the streets homeward bound, Olney counts its losses and prepares to rebuild. There's not much left when a tornado passes your way. Olney, Texas knows too well. At Pimlico, Maryland, 24,000 racing fans, including turfman Alfred Gwynn Vanderbilt, are out for the Preakness Stakes. Baseball's Larry McPhail is on hand, and also G-Man J. Edgar Hoover. Favorites in the small field of 8 are Hall of Fame and his Green Tree stablemate, Big Stretch, 1A. Number 2 is Know-It-All, the Widener entry. Number 3, Timely Reward. Repertoire is number 4, and Brookmead Stable's Bold, number 5, 4th choice of the fans. Counterpoint is number 6, and 7 is Hampton Stables Alerted. That's the lineup, and here they go. Know-It-All breaks fast on the inside, but by the time the 3-year-olds round the clubhouse turn, it's Bold with Eddie Arcaro up, who has taken the lead. Jockey McLean on Repertoire makes his bid, and for a time pulls ahead of Bold in the mile and 3/16 Classic, but he can't hold it. Bold just won't be denied. A Around the turn and into the stretch goes Bold, 2 lengths to the good and going strong. $83,000 is first-place money, and Eddie Arcaro, rolling up a record-setting 4 victories in both the Derby and the Preakness, gets 10% of the take. He just gives Bold his hand and wins by 7 lengths going away. The second fastest Preakness on the books. A nice return for both backers and jockey, and Black-Eyed Susans for Bold, winner of the Jubilee Preakness. Again, the tide of battle turns in Korea. Following a second Red Spring offensive, United Nations troops strike back grimly, backed by withering firepower. Air power takes up where the guns leave off, flying as many as 2,000 sorties daily against the fleeing and demoralized Reds. Marine and Air Force planes team up to blast communist forces, thousands of which are trapped below the 38th parallel. A rain of napalm, rockets, and demolition bombs scourges the enemy, entrenched in hill positions. They surrender in droves rather than face the screaming death from the skies. Across the entire Korean peninsula, United Nations troops move back to the assault as Red casualties mount toward the 100,000 mark. Veterans of a year's fighting in the bloody Korean campaign, they stalk the beaten foe with a calm confidence that not even the weather can shake. They have rolled back the human tide that was hurled against them, and now they tighten the noose. The First Lady of the nation sees her daughter, Margaret Truman, off for a trip to Europe. Miss Margaret declared that the trip is strictly for pleasure. She has no singing engagements booked during her tour. Her itinerary includes Great Britain, the Netherlands, Belgium, France, Luxembourg, and Italy. She leaves on the United States liner America. To a goodwill ambassador from the nation, we say, bon voyage. The Festival of Britain gets into full swing at Battersea Park's Midway. Or maybe we should say it really gets rolling along, because the rotor seems to be the big attraction. This ingenious amusement device really rolls them. The customers stand against the walls, and centrifugal force takes care of the details. The floor drops out from under you, and you're pinned to the whirling sides as the speed is stepped up. Remember, this comes under the head of pleasure. Austerity is forgotten, and the English are having a giddy time. Once again, the British have their backs to the wall, but as usual, they come up standing. It's Derby Day in San Francisco. Across headquarters is the Churchill Downs for the race to see which father can do the fastest pin-up. Sailor Gene Moser and offspring are among the hundreds of entries. And there's trouble in the starting gate for Jerry Herman. Can't seem to pin baby up or down. Maybe a cheer from the mothers will help. It'll take more than cheers from mother. It'll take mother herself. The champ of the quick change artists is Bob Greenberg, and he receives the crown of his royalty. He's the king. Mother says he can do all the changes now, and just look at his handiwork. Long live the king. $30,000, the largest crowd since the war, attend the 21st Morris and Essex Kennel Club show at Madison, New Jersey. This is the greatest outdoor bench showing in the nation, and 2,568 dogs representing 53 breeds are entered, including the underslung models. The cream of the crop gathers on the estate of Mrs. Hartley Dodge. And judging from some of the entries, the judges are going to have to call out the bloodhounds to find a winner. Top honors for Best in Show go to champion Rock Falls Colonel, English setter from Virginia, an outstanding winner in a large competitive field. Scenic is the word for the setting of the Continental Kayak Championship at Traignac, France. Old world castles provide a colorful backdrop for Europe's Whitewater Classic, staged by the Kayak Club of France on the Vézère River. There are gal skippers among the contestants from 4 countries, France, Yugoslavia, Austria, and Switzerland. And there's many an upset in the rock-studded rapids. The river claims another victim. Rapid transit in a suburban setting. At Angels Camp, California, the locale of Mark Twain's famous tale, The Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, some 20,000 people gather for the 24th Jumping Frog Championship. Entries have been brought from all of the United States for the Sierra Mountain Classic. And many a dream of victory rides on each amphibious leap. Prizes total nearly $2,000. So shake a leg there, Froggy. This is leap year for you. Little frog, tadpole, who cares? He's too small. Bring him back when he grows up. Then there's Leaptron, the atomic-powered croaker from Oak Ridge. He's souped up with radioactive iodine. Up and at 'em, Leaptron. What a dud you turned out to be. Even Mark Twain's frog, stuffed with BB shot, did better than that. Somebody's gonna croak for this. An ordinary diet of insects is good enough for Perfect Circle, whose leap of 15 feet 6 inches wins the prize. And that is fine with Lou Fisher.
Hey out there, I'm here to say, Dinah sure loves Chevrolet. Got big news to convey, Chevy's new in every way.
Hey out there, I'm here to say, Patrick Boone likes Chevrolet. Here's the word for you today, Chevy's new in every way. Wow, it's a honey, get in the know, this new Chevy has go, 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 go. It's so true what they say about Chevy. There's an engine with brand new design, the turbo thrust V8.
And that level air suspension gives you a brand new ride.
And Chevy's new dimensions, it's long, it's low, it's wide.
It's so true what they say about Chevy.
You can see luxury in each line. Why, the new Chevrolet's almost too new to be true. But it's true Chevrolet's for you.
Hey, that was fun.
Sure was. Kind of exciting, too, because Chevy really did it this year.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they made this car, they went all out. There's a whole new feel to the way Chevy handles.
I know. And this spectacular new styling really appeals to women, especially this one. So whatever you do,
Be sure to see and drive the all-new 58 Chevrolet.
it's at your local authorized Chevrolet dealers now.
And the new Chevrolet's almost too new to be true. But it's true Chevrolet's for you.
What you doing, Granny?
Making myself a new pipe.
Oh, I got something here you want to cotton to. That banker fella gave them to me.
What's that?
Winston cigarettes. Try one, Granny. They is first rate.
Well, if you say they're really good.
Best smoking you ever had.
By thunder, Jed, that is good smoking.
Now try it this way, Granny.
Tastes even better.
You tell me these Winstons is the best tasting cigarette you can get.
Well, I may put away my corn cob. That's saying a heap for 'em.
You know, Granny, there just ain't no way of saying how good a Winston is. You gotta smoke one to find out.
Well, I can say this. Winston tastes mighty good.
Like a cigarette should.
You're watching WALT, where Americana lives today.